Welcome to our discussion of Gold Team from Demystifying Proposals. We're going to offer a step-by-step process for how Gold Team should be conducted. In this slide, we talk about the expectations for the Gold Team review. The Gold Team is essentially your final review and should be about a 95% complete document. The purpose of the Gold Team is to review the integrity of the proposal and conduct a quality assurance review. The documents reviewed will be all volumes and all appendices. Gold Team generally is scheduled for a few days prior to submission and after a formal compliance check, where somebody outside the proposal team has looked at the compliance across all of the volumes and all of the appendices to make sure that compliance is not going to be an issue for your proposal. The proposal team members involved should be the capture manager and the proposal manager. The reviewers should have at least 8 hours to review. There may be many documents and much content for them to review. They shouldn't be diving into the particulars as much as in the pink team and the red team, but they still should be reading the document, and that can take many hours to complete. The required members of the review team should be the business lead, whoever's going to be managing the work once it's won, and the solution architect, who helped to develop the solution presented in the technical approach. Alternatively, you can include other senior staff and possibly the chief growth officer. You do want to keep the number of reviewers to a fairly small number because, of course, at this point, you don't want a lot of changes. So your reviewers should be limited primarily or potentially only to those who have previously reviewed. As I said, you don't want any new concepts introduced at this stage of the proposal. This is a final review with only minor enhancements necessary to improve scoring. Your gold team preparations will be similar to those from the pink team and the red team. You're going to organize your gold team by inviting reviewers to an in-brief, blocking time for the review on their calendars, and then scheduling the debrief. So this may be as many as 3 meetings. Be sure to send out the invitations well in advance of when you need the reviewers. Be sure to check with the reviewers that they will have time to do the review. Don't assume that the acceptance of the invitations is an acceptance of the time to review. Be sure to include the timeline for the review in the invitation. That is, the document will come out at this time, you will have this time to review, comments are due by this time, and your SWOT slides are due at this time. Prepare the gold team in brief deck with inputs from the capture manager for the opportunity overview and the win strategy, and the solution architect on the solution. At Gold Team, your in brief deck may be the same as it has been for Pink Team and Red Team because your solution and your strategy probably haven't changed. But confirm with them that you don't need to make any changes to the in brief deck. Be sure to include the slides about how the proposal outline has been organized relative to sections L, M, and C, especially if there's anything weird, so the reviewers are aware of any decisions that you made about how to address any concerns between sections L and M and C. Assignments should also be in the deck, as well as in the email invitation that you sent for the calendar invite. The number of people working on the document at Gold Team will be smaller than it was at Pink Team and Red Team because at this point now you're polishing, and so you don't want a lot of hands into the document. But you still want to work with the folks who are actually working on the documents to ensure that the documents are going to be ready for the review. So at your daily stand-ups, you want to reiterate the schedule for the deadline for the drafts, just like you did at Pink Team and Red Team. You want to review your drafts to make sure that the content is really going to be Gold Team ready. That is a 95% complete proposal with all of the elements complete. Once the drafts have been released for Gold Team by the authors, you need to make sure, as the proposal manager, that the documents are edited and formatted before posting for the Gold Team reviewers. Again, the Gold Team document should be about 95% complete. And that means content and editing and formatting. Then you're going to lead the Gold Team in brief. Be sure to remind the reviewers of the time for the review and monitor the Gold Team inputs. Watch what they're doing in SharePoint and make sure that the reviewers can get access to the documents. Again, if they're the same reviewers that you've used at Pink Team and Red Team, which is what we recommend, then that's probably not an issue, but it's always good to confirm. Authors are not involved in Gold Team recovery. At the point of Gold Team recovery, the proposal manager takes control of the proposal for the remainder of the proposal schedule. Be sure to let the authors know this and be sure to thank them for their hard work to this point. If you need to, you'll need to consolidate the reviewer's inline comments in the Word document. Again, if you're using a system like SharePoint, this should happen automatically. But if you have offline reviewers, a consultant or a sub, you may have to merge their comments into the master document. And then use the color team debrief slides, the SWOT slides, from the reviewers to lead the debrief discussion. For recovery, as we said, the proposal manager will own the document. You work with the capture manager and the technical lead or the solution architect on Gold Team recovery, including adjudicating the reviewer's comments. Hopefully, those comments will be fairly minimal at Gold Team. You should have completed all of the changes that were necessary from Red Team, so your document should be pretty clean at this point. Be sure to communicate clearly what has been accepted and what will not be done with any reviewers, especially if those reviewers are going to be part of your white glove. And then after the Gold Team recovery, your proposal should be ready for white glove. That is, it should be virtually complete. You want to also check on your file sizes. This is something that's really important when it comes to submission. Some submission systems have restrictions on how big your documents are. Now that you're a Gold Team, you'll understand what your file sizes are for each of the documents that are involved in the proposal, and you need to make sure that those file sizes will be compliant with what the submission process will accept. We hope that this video has been helpful. If you have any questions or concerns, please provide them in comments on the video. Thank you from Demystifying Proposals.